The Great Family. Once there was a man named Abram and his wife Sarai. Then God changed their names to Abraham and Sarah. Abraham always wanted to have lots of kids. But they didn't think they could have any kids. They were really disappointed about this. But God told them that he would have kids one day. God had a special plan for him. God asked that Abraham and Sarah leave their home and follow him. They had to choose, leave all their comforts and friends and follow God, or stay home and stay comfortable. They decided to trust God, that he would keep his promise of having children, even though they were both getting pretty old, like over 70 years.
Jeez, that's pretty old.
So they moved from their home all the way to Canaan.
Wow, that's long.
Right away, God reminded him of his promise. I will make your children like the dust of the earth. Can specks of dust be counted? If they can, then your children will be counted. That was God's funny way of telling them that he was going to have a lot of kids. Imagine that. Nobody can count specks of dust. So, Abraham and Sarah got even older. God stopped reminding them of his promise. Sometimes God does this because he wants us to trust him. But then God reminded him of his promise. You will have lots of kids one day. So they kept waiting. And waiting.
And waiting. And waiting. And waiting. It took a very long time.
It was a long time. When Abraham was 99 years old,
That's old. Yeah.
God told him he would have a child.
That's good.
When he told Sarah, she laughed and laughed. Sarah had stopped trusting God's promise. Probably not the best idea to laugh at God's promises, right? But God really does keep his promises to us. So when Abraham was 100 years old, Sarah gave birth to Isaac, which means laughter. A really old lady having a baby is pretty funny, right? God can be funny too. This promise was easy for God, though. He can do anything. And God promised Abraham lots of kids. Well, Isaac grew up and had kids. Isaac had lots of kids, and his kids had kids, who each had more and more kids. And more kids. And guess who was a part of all of these kids?
Who? Yeah, who?
Well, it was God's son,
Jesus!
All because Abraham trusted God, because God always keeps his promises.
Of course.